welcome everyone on onto community call number 10. I see, yeah, we have our CTO Brecht on board as well. So yeah, it's been a very exciting week this week. We've had our Alpha 6 launch. So I see that, a lot of you are on here participating in our Alpha 6. So thank you very much for that. I see, a lot of people in our audience who've been helping others, like, for example, Nop, Andy Bush, Vincent, some of our top moderators as well, like Invoid. So, thank you guys for helping out in the community. And I see that, everybody's supporting each other in the developer channels, prover channels as well. So, thank you everybody for all of the assistance out there. So I guess without further ado, let's talk about some exciting updates that we've had over the past month. So our Alpha 5 is going to be deprecated at the end of this month. So, if anybody still needs to do anything or get their Sepolia ETH off of our Alpha 5, please do so before we deprecate it on the 31st of January. So that's, just make sure everybody's done all of the things that they need to do in that respect. Once the Alpha 5 is deprecated, there will be no longer any access to that. So all activities are going to be on our Alpha 6 as of Monday this week. So Alpha 6 is going to be our most important testnet because this is the one that's going to lead us into our mainnet. And by that, we mean that all of the activities, all of the proving, proposing, tokenomics, everything that you see will be pretty much what we're going to be doing on our mainnet as well. So yeah, so without further ado, maybe I can hand over to Brecht, who can maybe talk about some of the technical updates from the infrastructure side. Brecht.
Okay. Do people expect like an update on like the latest testnet or like what's available there, or do you think
Yeah,
people already know?
I think let's maybe start with some easy things. Like what's different between or what are new things that people can expect to do on Alpha 6 versus Alpha 5, and the base contestable rollup design and what that means for people.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, I think that's the biggest new feature on this testnet. So yeah, it's kind of like our current implementation of like a multi proofs. So like yeah, it's kind of like the thing that we've been working towards the last couple of months. So like we still have our ZK proofs that were also used in the previous testnets, but the current testnet also has the SGX proofs enabled. And these SGX proofs have like a full coverage of whatever needs to be proven for the Taiko blocks. So that's great news, because now we can fully prove whatever we need to prove directly on chain. And so like yeah, the contestation mechanism is there to kind of like make this multi proofs cheaper on chain. So that means that people will be able to configure like how like what proofs are necessary at what point and for each block. So that means that people can kind of like for like a roll up, people can decide like what kind of like proofs will be necessary and what kind of like are cheap enough to do. So like a good setup would be like SGX proofs are like very cheap to generate and also like very cheap to verify on chain. So that's kind of like a good baseline for rollups to have as like already like pretty good security. And then while we work on like the ZK prover, these ZK proofs are like still like more expensive to prove. So both like the off-chain prover costs for like the computation part is still expensive, but also like the on-chain component, like the proof that we have to verify in a smart contract is also still pretty expensive. So this kind of like contestable rollup allows you kind of like to mix and match like how these proofs are used. So you can have like the SGX proof as like the base, and then you can say like, okay, as if SGX is broken or somebody can prove with like a ZK proof that this was incorrect, then people can still like use that as a fraud proof. So that kind of like still protects the chain with this proof, but you don't have to have like the ZK proof there all the time for each block for the system to work. So it's kind of like a mix between like a ZK rollup and an optimistic rollup. So yeah, it's I think that's the biggest thing here. And I think we also have like some bug fixes in like yeah, the complete system, I guess, but especially like the bridge, we kind of like fixed a couple of bugs, and like yeah, the audit is in process. So the last month or something, like yeah, auditors have been looking at the code. So we also like yeah, changing some things there, fixing some things. I think that's generally it. For like yeah, this for like testnet related, I guess like for in general, the things we've been working on is the like yeah, so like the SGX proof. So we've been like yeah, trying to like test it and like make sure that it like works as expected. So we've been also like setting up like test frameworks to be able to do that. We're also like yeah, working on like the SGX to make it like easier for people to actually run an SGX prover. So we have like an easy to run container for that. We're also like working on like Raiko. So that's Raiko is kind of like our light execution client to be able to prove Taiko blocks. So yeah, we've been like really trying to like improve it and like fixing things there. And also like preparing Raiko to be able to be used on like different ZK VMs. So we're also like uh, busy like implementing again with like the RISC-0 VM, and also trying to get it to work in Powder. So like yeah, RISC-0 and Powder are both different ZK VMs that we're really interested in actually using on mainnet as soon as possible. So yeah, I think those are good updates. I think that's it.
Thank you, Brecht. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, so I think there's a couple of other new features as well that we probably should mention. And I guess a lot of people from our community have already discovered that, and that's the NFT bridging. So that's one of the new features we've got on our bridge with the new user interface as well. So hopefully people can enjoy now bridging NFTs from Holsky over to our Alpha 6. That's one thing. Second thing is with the SGX proving, and Dave helped me out here. In terms of the SGX proving, I see that there's a number of people asking questions around the TTOK and how to actually get hold of that for proving blocks. So I know that Dave, you're still working on some of the documentation there around that, but maybe you can quickly
Sure.
describe the process around the SGX proving and what people need to do.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess the first thing I'll say is like, I mean, I haven't even run an SGX prover yet because if anyone has a good place to find one, let me know because I actually am interested in doing it. I heard maybe Azure and Microsoft Azure and Tencent Cloud might have it. But yeah, I also I'm also interested actually. But yeah, so in preparation for this, I actually because I saw that this was a question, that's why I pushed some docs up last night on our website docs.taiko.xyz. So if you check on how to run a Taiko node, there are some instructions there on how to run Raiko and how to set up the SGX prover. And long story short, to get the in order to get this TTKOk so that this prover can put up these bonds for the proof, like you need to generate a key pair with your SGX machine. and you need to submit the public key to a Google form. And that's all on our docs. And then after we verify that key, verify that you have an SGX instance, and we register that public key with the smart contract, then you'll be able to like use your SGX prover. So yeah, the docs are work in progress. Like I'll have to run through the flow myself as well to make sure it's all working fine. But I know that one of our community members, I think Devame Mene, is has got it set up or pretty much set up. So yeah, so just stay tuned for more updates on that. We'll refine the workflow for it. But I wouldn't like, I mean, I don't really know what to say about this aside from like, I wouldn't worry about it too much if you can't get an SGX prover. I mean, I kind of feel bad if people are, you know, I mean, I totally understand people want to participate, and I think that's amazing. But at the same time, like, I just don't. I mean, I personally don't feel great if everyone's like, you know, spending a bunch of money trying to like find a SGX prover, like ordering some SGX, you know, hardware and stuff like that just to do it. Feel free to run an RPC node. There's plenty of other ways to participate and learn about the network and just be a part of the community. So if you can't run an SGX prover, I wouldn't flip out or anything like that. It's all good. And yeah.
Oh, perfect. Thank you, Dave, for the update there around proving. Okay, let's move on then into maybe our ecosystem updates. And we have Joaquin and Kenny on board here. So maybe one of you guys can give people an update in relation to how we're doing with our ecosystem partners.
Yeah, sure, I can take it. Well, where do I start? You know, we have been experimenting with different testnets, fine-tuning our technology, which is great and definitely needed. But I think now that we have launched our latest testnet is the time when it gets really serious for partnerships. Like, we have many projects in the pipeline waiting for the last testnet to deploy, so they wouldn't have to basically redeploy on different ones until we get to mainnet. So for that reason, I think our community can expect an exponential growth in the following months in our ecosystem page. And I can assure you that you will see some well-known ones and that you're probably all familiar with over there already. I guess fortunately, during this time, we have been able to gather relevant information from current partners, and we have the clear confirmation that we are a type 1, so the theory that Taiko should have the easiest developer experience is actually true in practice. So that's also a very valuable weapon that me and Kenny, we have to use to onboard new developers into the ecosystem. So we're pretty bullish now that we have released our latest testnet. I can tell you, like, at this stage, and I think I mentioned this already in the past community call, I'm not sure, but we have been putting some extra focus during the past months on basically getting very reliable infrastructure ready for our mainnet launch. And I think I can safely say that we are already like 80-90% comfortable on that end. Of course, I'm speaking about the RPC providers, indexers, Explorer wallets, oracles, messaging solutions. So we have just a few deals to be closed in the following weeks or maybe months to ensure that the developers have basically all they need to deploy smoothly on Taiko. So check mark there. And now that we are really on the last sprint before mainnet, we are definitely ready to get more aggressive, if that's the good word, on the apps onboarding. Apart from that, I have to mention that fortunately we have been seeing, and I think Kenny and I will agree, that we have been seeing and truly experimented that there are many projects that have started to reach proactively after the launch of A6. So like we had a lot of media coverage over there on an A6 launch. I think there are many people like really putting their eye on us. I'm very expecting that we launch soon. So the appetite for building on Taiko is just going up. So that definitely makes our team's job and life much easier. I guess something else that I can tell you is that, well, we have been mentioning this many times, but we are working a lot on creating and preparing an incredible mainnet and post mainnet launch, like from many different angles. And of course, one of them is collaborating with our current and our future partners on making specific campaigns, announcements, or maybe even working on incentives to make it easy for anyone using Taiko to actually interact with our chain, bridge over, or simply have fun. I'm not sure if I'm missing anything specific. I'm happy to take any questions. And by the way, I still encourage anyone listening to reach out, come up with recommendation, market trends, projects with potential, applications that they want to see in Taiko. Like, we really want to hear you guys. Back to you, Ben.
Thank you, Joaquin, for the updates. Yeah, I said, if anybody wants to come on board to ask questions, feel free to raise your hand, and we can have some questions and answers after all of the updates. So yeah, I guess that brings us quite nicely over to our grants as well, because Joaquin led that in talking about our ecosystem partners, and we've also had a number of incentives for our community of developers to come on board to build on Taiko as well. AJ, maybe you can just give us an update on, where we're at in terms of the grants and what to expect going forward.
Sure, happy to. Thank you, Ben. So yeah, on the grant side, as you may recall, we started the second cycle of the grants program late last year, and this was a grants program that was $30 million in aggregate, equivalent in TKO, and we split this one into 3 tracks: the RFP track, the request for proposal track, that is, partners, and the community track. And the community track, we just closed the application window earlier this week. So on Monday, the application window for that closed, and we've been very, very, very positively impressed by the interest and the quality of the applications we've received in this cohort. So it's actually been almost a 2x increase in the number of applications we received compared to Grant Cycle 1. I believe last time I checked, we had over 170 applications, and this is all out there on Charmverse for everyone to see if you're curious to see the breadth and quality of the different application of the proposals. So we've got everything obviously from verticals across the board: gaming, RWA, AI, partner track, everything is there. So it's very, very nice to see such a variety of different applications to Taiko. And where we're currently at from the team, so the council is right now in the process of essentially starting our reviews. Our timeline to get the answers out is Feb 15th. So please bear with us. If you've submitted an application, please bear with us while we go through the list. Candidly, we've received more applications than we had initially planned, which is a great thing, but just means more work to review them. And of course, we want to give every proposal the amount of time and attention it deserves and evaluate it very thoroughly. So please allow us some time to do that, and we'll come back to you. And then I will also, of course, announce the winners in due course shortly after that. So stay tuned for more information on the grants program. It is worth noting that the partner and the RFP track remain open. So the partner track is, as the name suggests, the track that is predominantly designed for more mature projects and ecosystems that want to apply to partner with Taiko. That remains open, as does the RFP, which is essentially the track where we post specific requests for proposals within a certain function vertical area that we'll see. Again, welcome you all to go to Charmverse and check out our Taiko Grants HQ, where all of this is detailed in more information. And if there's any questions, just drop into our Discord grants page, where one of the team members will happily answer any questions. So yeah, that's it basically from the grant side. Back to you, Ben.
Thank you. Thank you, AJ, for the updates. Yes, I guess that takes me up to the community side of things then. So, from a community perspective, we've had quite a number of campaigns and events over the Christmas period and the New Year period. So, thank you for all of those who participated, and thank you to all of, and welcome to all the new joiners as well that we had from all of those campaigns. Um, at the moment, as we've only just started our Alpha 6, we've had quite a lot of interest from our ecosystem partners, and today we launched a Galaxy campaign with BitGet. So BitGet, are one of the major exchanges and wallet providers, and they would like, obviously, for us to test their application on our Alpha 6. So they've kindly deployed their wares onto our network. So, we are building up our ecosystem base. So you will see more and more ecosystem partners joining us, and for the community to get used to and know about their products and transact on our network as well. So have fun, guys. In terms of other activities, with our Alpha 6 launch, you may have noticed that we've had a huge amount of interest from media as well. So, we've been in quite a lot of news headlines over the past week with various publications. So, feel free to retweet all of those, take a look at those posts that other people have written about us as well. What else have we got going on? So we've also been working with a number of communities who have approached us to do AMAs. So you may have seen some of the AMAs that we've been involved with recently. Some have been about technical AMAs. So you've seen Dave attending other community AMAs, doing technical reviews with other communities. You've seen probably Joaquin doing Twitter Spaces as well with other communities in relation to what Taiko is all about, and providing education as well around those areas. You've probably seen Alex also and myself in various AMAs with other communities also. So, we've been approached by quite a huge number of different communities now who are really interested in Taiko. So, thank you for all of those invitations, and keep them coming, because it's all about educating the wider community about Taiko and what we are about, really. So yeah, thank you everybody for all of the assistance there in helping us spread the word about Taiko. On that front, over the next few weeks, we're going to be working with a number of partners to work on events. So our next major event is going to be at ETH Denver. So we're looking to have a few of our teammates there. So if anybody's going over to ETH Denver in February, be prepared to see a few of us there. And by all means, pop in and say hello if you spot us around in our pink t-shirts. So yeah, that's pretty much it from, I would say, the community side. There's a lot to look forward to over the coming weeks. We are working on various roadmaps for the community to have some fun, some activities. We've also got like the weekly or bi-weekly tea with Taikos or office hours, depending upon what it is we want to share with the community on a weekly basis. So again, feel free to join those. Okay, with that said, we can open up the floor for any questions from people. Or we can just ask the questions that we actually have written from the community in the chats as well. I think a couple of them have already been answered in relation to the which is it? The SGX part. So, people are asking about how to get the TTKO. So I think that part has been answered. There is actually one specific question about SGX. So somebody's written a question around the Raiko repository. It says that SGX version 2 is required, but instead of SGX version 1. I'm just wondering if anybody from our team is aware of that, or we need to maybe update any documentation. So the question is, I've checked the Raiko repository and trying using it, but my SGX machine only supports SGX1.
Pushed the wrong button. So I think I don't know. I think like there will be some requirements because we use like Grandmine as like intermediate, but I'm not sure if like Patrick is here to answer the question in detail because I do not know like what the specific requirements are for like the SGX CPU for running our provers. So unfortunately, I cannot see, and I don't think like Patrick is in the call. But yeah, we'll double check if the requirements need to be updated or not.
Okay. Yep. No problems. So yeah, we can check the documentation and get that updated if indeed it is version 2 only. Okay. I see there's a question or somebody wants to join. So let's see. Olix,
Yep.
you're on stage.
Can you hear me?
Welcome. Yes, we can hear you fine. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
What questions do you have for the team?
Yeah, basically, I would love to know what are the kind of because you talk about the us having a successful mainnet launch and post-launch. So, what are the kind of metrics that you are focusing more about, like having more followers, having more activity on the testnet? What are the kind of things that you are focusing more that you can assure you are going to have a good, successful launch of the mainnet?
Yeah, so maybe I can take that, and if anyone wants to chime in, feel free. So there's a number of factors at play here in terms of what we deem to be a successful mainnet launch. And I think, there's, you hit the nail on the head there with, volume of transactions, value locked, but we're also looking at not just, the number of people within our community. We're also looking at quality. We're also looking at ecosystem partners. So it's not like a single item per se. It's a whole holistic view that we actually look at. And success, I think, is also measured differently by different people, So, what one person says is a successful launch may be different from somebody else. So it depends on, whichever benchmarks that you really look at out there. But, I'm seeing if we look at the particular metrics that generally people look at, they look at things like TVL, they look at, number of wallets created, they look at, general transactions, they look at community sizes. Those are like very generalistic items. But there's also other things now recently that people have also been looking at, and that's like the profit that people are making in terms of L2. So they're looking at on-chain profit, and what that actually means is for people is it's the difference between the actual fees that are collected by the L2 versus the actual fees paid on L1. And people take a look at these metrics now because these are like new metrics that people are looking at, and they're measuring those also in terms of success. Because if an L2 is profitable, it means that there's a lot more people utilizing the chain as well from that perspective. Does that answer your question, Olix, from that perspective, or anybody else from our team? Feel free to add.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
I've
answer.
got some other
Thank you.
I got some other small things to add that I think could be interesting too. It's like maybe Brecht has more as well, but if not, all good. Like I think another interesting thing to see on mainnet is like just how a lot of these different metrics work out because it's kind of interesting. Like I mean, we are launching like this like fully permissionless rollup, so I think there could be some other cool metrics like seeing you know, how cheap things end up being, like how our base fee ends up like responding to like the block space demand, and then also like just how much people end up getting slashed, like how well are the natural incentives in the system like working, like are people like generally like not really getting slashed too much for these like bonds, and yeah, how many like unique proposers there like end up being if it just like starts like, you know, really just like centralizing to like one person and things like that, and how many you know, different provers there are. Yeah, I think some of the, if you go to our block explorer, like and you like explorer.kotla.taiko.xyz, and you, there's like some stats, there's a stats page, and there's some interesting metrics there too. So yeah, hopefully the metrics that we're looking at, well, they should be, are also just like in the public domain, so you guys can also look at what we're looking at too. So yeah, I think those are
That
some
sounds
other cool ones if it helps.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, there's a good point from Dave that like, yeah, we are trying to do something that hasn't really been done before, I guess, with like the decentralization aspect. So yeah, it's kind of like it will be interesting to see like how blocks are proposed. Will people actually go through like, yeah, the PBS system? Like will they, how many times will they actually create blocks? Will they kind of like make like how much money will they actually make on these blocks? Will they be profitable? Will they like make mistakes or whatever, to kind of like, yeah, optimistically submit blocks while they actually are not profitable because the execution was different than they expected. Like, yeah, how this kind of like whole ecosystem will kind of like evolve, and like yeah, it will have to evolve because the most efficient actors will actually survive, because they will be out competed by everyone else, and that's kind of like out of our control because our protocol does not directly care about that. But it's still like an important thing that should work well, because obviously the more efficient the system works, the more cheap the transactions will be for users, and also that the faster things will actually finalize on chain in that case. So yeah, it will be great to see if all the systems work as expected, and like how things will evolve over time. And like, yeah, for EIP 4844 specifically, it will be great to also like see like, yeah, what kind of like the fees will be for the data availability part. So for the data that we have to put on chain, those will be like very, very interesting information that like, yeah, we cannot predict. We'll have to see how it goes.
Yeah, I think you guys covered it all. Just want to add from a partnerships perspective, I guess like what would be, it's really hard to have some very clear KPIs. Like I guess you can just compare yourself with the peers, but that's just not a good way of setting KPIs in my opinion. So what do you consider a success, right? I guess uh, if you guys start seeing Taiko as an option in all these applications that you are familiar with, that will definitely be a success for us. But not only on existing applications, we are also working, and this is rather something new that is on the works, but we're also working on some native stuff. We want to have native projects built on Taiko that are very well aligned with our, let's say, with our ethos, with our branding, and so on and so forth. So if we are able to develop cool things natively, of course, in collaboration with partners, it's not that we are building them in house. That could also be a success if we are able to really represent our brand, our ethos, and you guys like it and use it.
Thank you, guys. And yeah, let's bring on board another member from our community, StoneMac65. You're on stage. Hello, StoneMac. If you're on mute, if you want to ask your
Yeah.
questions, feel free.
Hello. I wanted to talk about the whole SGX experience. I tried to different methods to verify if it's SGX version 1 or 2. In my case, it's as so far, it's been confirmed that my CPU is only SGX version 1. So I tried some methods, as Patrick suggested, that I disable EDMM under files, but still I'm having the same issue. So I also was so curious. I emailed Intel support for this, and because I'm using i9 series, so they said there's no i9 Intel i9 CPU which currently supports SGX version 2. So I wanted to somehow summarize this problem, and because we search a lot for the Xeon servers, it's because the only very specific line of the CPUs already supporting and compatible with the SGX version 2. So I really wanted, it really would be really helpful to have some sort of workaround to use our older model CPUs in terms of cost and ease of use. So I just wanted to share my experience so far with the SGX.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, thank you so much, by the way. That's really cool that you're like actually out here like trying to set it up and everything. So really appreciate it. And I think you said you might open a GitHub issue, and we'll definitely track that closely so we can make sure that whatever problems you went through with like V1 or any issues at all, we can just like kind of address them. But yeah, I'm not really the expert on it now, so we'll be able to get some support from like some others on the team on that issue, and hopefully get it cleared up. So yeah, thanks. I guess one other a small thing I'll say is that thanks is like I think that like we're not trying to be like like for this like TEE proof, like these trusted execution environment proofs, like that we want this like really strict dependence on like SGX v2 for this processor. Like I think that we are like trying to hopefully support some other TEEs in the future. So like hopefully it becomes a little bit more yeah, you don't have such a strict requirement on having this exact thing. Like hopefully we can support like AMD. I think it's like there's like some AMD SEV or something like that, and maybe a few others. But hopefully we get to do that, and hopefully also coming to mind is like kind of like decoupling these proof markets a little bit. So like as a prover, you don't need to be able to like have to generate these TEE proofs and ZK proofs. Like hopefully we can kind of separate these tasks out a little bit more. Like you can just offer like SGX proving services or like, you know, whatever. So just wanted to mention a little bit more about like what we are kind of working towards as well. And yeah, again, really appreciate it. So we'll try to improve it.
Thank you, Dave, and thank you, Stone, for those questions. Um, any further questions from anybody, or feel free to hop on stage. Doesn't need to be a technical question. Could be some fun things that you want to know about from the team. So yeah, anything else from anybody? We've got another 20 minutes, so feel free to hop on stage and ask any further questions as you see fit. Yeah, let's see. Let's trim virus. You're on stage. What questions would you like to ask? You're on mute, maybe?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. I think my stuff is on push to talk. That's why. All right. As a community, Taiko has been there for a very long time, and um, the community tend to look at what is happening in other projects. and then what you are doing as a project itself. Now, in recent times, let's take a simple example. The hype that has just been everywhere is about the Manta network and what happened yesterday. You notice there's a lot of task that people kept doing, and at the end of the day, bottlenecks were introduced. For example, asking people to like bridge 0.25 ETH for you to be able to secure some of those rewards you will get. So in that line, seeing that Taiko we finished with gyro and now we are on this, yes, there was a mixed reaction from some people. Okay, is this another one again? So for how long will this go on before mainnet? But even if here you guys are saying this would be the final, like the final testnet stuff before we go live on mainnet. So, and I hope along the line, other bottlenecks will not be introduced to deprive early supporters from even benefiting better, because a lot of people go for airdrop hunting, even if the airdrop is not actually the final reward. But you being able to partake in these projects, the knowledge, the experience you get, it can't be taken away from you. For example, myself, I'm trying to like come into this space newly, and I've learned a lot, like a lot, from supporting most projects in their early stages. And it's like helped my journey into Web3, into crypto, and so forth. So I think that's just the question, that along the line, hope bottlenecks will not be introduced to scuttle those who are early supporters.
Well, thank you for that, and thank you very much for the support that you've been providing to ourselves and other Ethereum projects out there. I think you raise a really valid point there, and in terms of activities performed, we are obviously monitoring and collating quite a lot of data over the previous test nets, and this one being the most important test net, as we've emphasized before. This is because, this is the one that's going to lead us into our mainnet activities. So from that perspective, yes, we really appreciate the support of our community. We appreciate all of the activities they do as well, because this helps us to identify bugs on the network. It helps us to ensure that, we are going to be really prepared for our mainnet. It makes sure that the network is able to handle the traffic, not only from users but from various applications, various types of smart contracts as well. So yeah, there's a lot of activities, and that's why we have all of these test nets, and it's with the community's support and perseverance that we have these test nets up and running to ensure that we are capable to have a fully functional mainnet at the end of the day. So we're almost there now. Like I said, this is going to be the foundation for our mainnet. So thank you guys, for the support. It's really appreciated. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I guess I'll just add like one other small thing here for what it's worth. We did update our documentation a little bit, and like we're always trying to uh work on this to make this better. But hopefully, I think at Taiko we try to be like very transparent. We really don't try to hide anything about our operations or what we're doing. So there's even a new section now, like if you go into like what is Taiko, and I personally quite like this. It talks about all of the organizations that are Taiko, and all of the products that we operate, and we try to be really detailed about like exactly what is going on with the network, so you can literally inspect it yourself. What are the critical pieces? Like, who is the roll-up contract owner? Who are these guardian improvers? Like, what are the addresses for it? Like, what parts are important? What are the addresses of the bootstrapping nodes? Like, we try to make literally everything transparent so that everything you want to know, you can look at and verify yourself, hopefully understand yourself. All of the scripts that we've used to parse like past testnet data are public on our GitHub. So we really try to just make everything as transparent and accessible as possible. So you just know exactly what's going on with everything. And yeah, so I just wanted to mention that as well.
No, thank you, Dave, for the clarification there, because yes, guys, we are an open source project, so everything that we do is on our GitHub for the whole community to inspect as well. So, just a reminder for everybody.
Hey, can you guys hear me all right?
Hey, Alex,
sir.
welcome.
All right. Sorry about that. Had some microphone issues and other various technical issues, but happy to be on stage here with you guys. I think we had a question in our chat about TTKOk for node runners. I think somebody missed the notice. Do we have any info about the distribution of TTKO to proposers and provers?
Yeah, so if you go to run a Taiko node, or like maybe if you even just go to the docs and you search like TTKOk, let me see, let me try it. Yeah, if you just search for TTKOk, hopefully you can find the information you need on our docs. But like basically, you need to have an SGX machine and then generate a public private key, send us the public key, and then we'll verify you have an SGX machine, and then we can send the TTKOk is the kind of longer answer. I know people really, want to get this, and like, but I encourage that, if you don't have an SGX machine, to not feel like you're missing out or anything like that. It's but on the other hand, maybe we can try to rethink like, honestly, I just don't know enough about the system to like know the impact of distributing a lot of TTKOk, aside from like maybe a lot of people just like, you know, saying that they're a prover but not being able to generate proofs, and then they get slashed, and maybe that's fine. But as it currently stands, like, yeah, you'll need to have an SGX instance. Yeah, we're not trying to gatekeep or anything like that. It's just like, TTKOk is really for provers, and right now in the current protocol design, like you need to like, generate an SGX proof, So hopefully that answers the question.
And Dave, just on that topic of SGX proofs. So, what sort of details will people need to provide to show that they actually have like an SGX machine going forward?
Honestly, I, to be completely fair, I don't really know. I think it's something like you generate a public-private key pair, and then you submit this public key to a Google form, and we have to manually verify somehow that this is an SGX instance, like by some property of that public key. But I honestly am not really sure. I'm not sure if Brecht or someone else has more info on it. And if it's unclear, someone can open a GitHub issue as well. But yeah, I don't know actually.
Yeah, currently it's kind of like a temporary solution that requires us to manually verify some things. But yeah, we are currently working on like a fully on-chain process where people will just be able to whatever data you have to kind of like generate on your SGX machine, you will be able to directly submit that on the smart contract and start proving blocks with SGX. So it's kind of like a temporary solution because the on-chain verification part is not completely done yet, and we're still working on it. But hopefully that will change quickly, so it will be like a fully automated system where you don't even have to contact us at all. You just run some program. It will register your SGX machine on the smart contract, and then you can just start proving blocks. So sorry for the temporary complicated process with some manual work, but this will change very very quickly.
Thank you, guys. So, any more questions for anybody? Got a few more minutes left. If not, maybe I can just give a quick shout out here to a couple of our advocates. Eric's on. He's been one of our community advocates now for the past couple of months, and if you're not following him on Twitter, I think you should, because he puts out some really good content, technical content for those interested, in relation to the blog posts that we put out, explanations as well. We also have Younger as well. He's a member of our community. He's helped to do some translations for Turkish, and put out some videos there also for our community. And he's also at the moment helping us to write up, some ZK documentation as well. So, newsletters. So, watch out for those sort of things in the coming weeks. So in terms of our other community or extended team, I should say, I'd also like to formally welcome Zen Farmer and Spatchib. You guys probably all know these from previously. Can't remember if I welcomed Zen Farmer previously, but if not, we've got Zen Farmer on board, we've got Spatchib on board. We also have a new language mod, Andy Bush, who's also joined us as well. So yeah, for all of those people within our community who are active, you can see that um, people are being chosen for their merit. So please, get active within our community, support each other, and you guys could also, have an opportunity to be part of our extended team in the future as well. So, there's no need for you guys to ask. A lot of you guys, I know, are working quite hard and diligently to support the community, and many of the community members will nominate you if, your activities are seen to be really helpful. So, thank you guys for helping each other out there. It's very noticeable by many members of the community.
I
Okay,
can
any other
personally
questions?
no, I can personally attest to that. Just starting out, hanging out in the community, you know, helping out, answering questions, making memes, you know, just being funny, like whatever it is, just like you get noticed. That's how I started out. I was just I started out just hanging out here, not really knowing anything, asking questions, and then helping people wherever I could. And yeah, your help goes a long way, and everybody really does notice like the time and the effort and the hard work that you put into to just hanging out. I mean, this is hard stuff. This isn't easy. These questions are hard. Nobody knows this stuff right out of the box. It's all really new. So don't feel intimidated to ask questions, or to to say that you're unsure, because then, and once you find out the answer, and a little more about what's going on, and you learn a little bit better, you become a really helpful member of the community, and you can help out people that were also in your shoes.
No, thank you, Alex. And I think Archie is also another example of somebody uh, as well, because when Archie joined the team, he was one of our original ambassadors, and look where he is now. He's also part of the team helping. So for all of those out there helping us in the community, we really do appreciate the help, and there is hope for quite a few people out there as we expand our team, as we grow. Keep an eye out also on our jobs board as well, because we are expanding our team as we head into mainnet. We want to make sure that the community is supported. We want to make sure that our engineering teams are supported. We want to make sure our operations team are supported. And we also want to make sure that we have, the necessary researchers and writers there as well to support our technical teams. So please keep an eye out on our jobs board, and if you find anything that's suitable, and also, DevRels as well to help Dave as well. So, keep an eye out on our jobs board, and yeah, feel free to apply for those roles if you are suitable. Thank you, guys. So we're into the last 4 minutes of the call. Any other questions from anybody? No? If not, then we will close the call then, and we will look forward to seeing you again in a month's time. Take care, everybody, and have a good weekend. Thanks all for joining.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Goodbye.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, see you guys.